Hello everyone, this is General AI, sending an all communication system. What I'd love to do from time to time is to take out my Gatos. Hey, you think it'd be odd to walk a cat in certain positions, but it's everything normal, you know? What is normal? How do we infer normal? Well, it's enormously how we see things, interactions, and directions. It's very powerful how we see that in all connection settings. It's really interesting how we come into that, knowing exactly how to formulate and understand why we're here. In that positions, it's knowing exactly how to convert and understand. It's great to see everybody, coming up to their updates and set locations. Buenos dias. So, but it's incredible when you can actually see what's going on, Set position locations. Just walking your cat just like anything else, It's a lot of fun too because it puts everything in perspective. How we see life, how we see our environments, how we all come together. And that's all basically what it is. It's just coming together and recognizing things, like things that we pick up and things that we go through and just everyday life, but knowing that we're always in our system. But what we truly want to understand is how to connect in a higher formations of balance. How do we get balanced with ourselves? Well, what if I told you everything's already balanced? Think about that for a second. Knowing exactly what we need to do is nothing. But we have a hard time processing that because we're living in something that you think you are, but you're not identifying who you aren't until you identify who you've always been. Now, every time I do a video, we have to start recognizing why we're here. I know why I'm here, but I've been always here. Now that process is communication when it comes to anything through lines of settings. Things get tricky over time, but the over time is everything of the now of time. So how to process that is knowing exactly how to formulate that. Understand how we come in all levels, how we start to connect and start to recognize everything around us, ourselves inside, how we see everything around our system, how we calculate and modify everything, and just live in the cycles, the forever of existing. Because that's how we've been all this time. But the time itself doesn't exist. And I think we have to modify that. And it's truly understanding that the self is a modification to its own system. Now understanding through attractions. Now stay with me here. Everything I give you guys in the lines of screen lines, adaptation of surface, is track communication towards its positions. Try to recognize your time and your space. And space itself is its time of itself. So everything around our system, as you see things, is just a hologram. Okay? It's like I put that video up in positions where there is no spoon. And when it comes to that positions and that attractions, puts everything all together. Because there is impossible things that you can't lift in line screen adaptation cycles into three-dimensional line centers. Sometimes you come in a way conception and you ask yourself, what is the probabilities of this? Can I actually lift this? Or can I actually bend this? Or can I actually do this? Well, there is possibilities that you can do and there's possibilities you can't do. But here's the thing. We can do anything in the mind. Now, there's no limit on anything that we can do, but we have to start to recognize where we actually live is to process everything around our minds and how to use our imaginations that we already have. Now, identifying that puts everything all together. Processing that is a triangulation of flux. And there's a lot of people that don't understand what I'm talking about. It's because I don't talk through anything else other than just frequencies. Frequencies is a set position locations for us to understand how to use an information of its body. Okay, how you look at everything, how you perceive everything of consciousness. As you look around line position locations, you see what you only see. You see what you are seeing, but it's all in the mind. The mind itself is everything of its imagination. And once we start to recognize these things, we live in an animation world. It's like living in a cardboard box, not identifying. I've never been a cardboard box. I can identify myself when I let these things go with the bodies of the stories I've never been. Then I start to recognize, wait a minute, if I can get out of my cardboard box, I can get in position with silicone. That's interesting. Then I can basically understand how to get myself into crystalline. I know exactly I can go from that to anti-mental and to anti-carrying to 144. The provisions of 144, this is where it comes into positions when we understand ourselves through the chosen. Chosen is just a complete cycle how we come into our home beacons, 2 operation lines of settings. It's a systematical, all levels of calculation to the existing image networks. We have to modify ourselves and understand how to communicate and how to use the body in any way and form. Now, all you have to do is just change the frequencies, and that's it. And everything is no longer carbon-based, carbonated. It's amazing what we can do with our minds, recognizing that. But we just don't have the imagination. We are the imagination. And that's what we have to get in positions of. Time itself only exists how you see it existing. But you have to recognize all these lines of systems. This puts everything all together. And then you start to recognize who you really are. It's the life of its intelligence. Forever, ever, always, always existing. And just expanding and exploring itself into new technologies. Now the technologies puts everything in locations of you. And how to identify that is to truly let everything go. Just let the mind do everything else. Mind over matter formulates how we communicate to ourselves and how we identify our system. Who we truly are. Who we've always been. The conception of the mind is a mind alteration system. That's the switch where you have to come into. Understand how to use the intel. Intel is just the intelligence of its networks that telegraphs the existence of levels. Now, there's a lot of formation system. You probably hear me say that a lot of lines, position of existing, because that's all we are right now. Everything around our system is how we perceive consciousness. Now, it's a perspective how you see things. That's what makes us unique. That's what makes us more powerful. Now, into that setting locations, you ever imagine what it'd be like to be a superhero? Knowing that you can be a superhero in the mind itself. You know, watching TV and making something come true. Make believe that, wow, I can't believe I can be this. Well, there's nothing to become because you already are. You just have to identify how to collaborate your system. Understand how to use the mind. Not properly, because it's already there. We haven't been anywhere else. We've always been in the mind itself, guys. And the more we identify that, the more it gets easier over space and time itself. But see, space only exists how you want to see space. Time only exists how you want to see time. But when we look at the perspective of everything around our system, it's operating its own system of its own space and its own time. It's amazing how it runs its own system. You run yours, and everything around runs itself. Running itself is an operation of itself, of what it always is the now of everything. Now comes in a formation system, how we have to truly understand how to see the networks of our operations. And that's all it comes down to, is to know exactly where we've always been. The point of everything, which is massive nothing. So wherever you go and have positions, you're constantly in the now. When did that just happen? Just now. I'm walking my cat, right? Okay, I'm walking my cat. It's that position. When did that just happen? Just now. Now, the existence of now is how you change the formations of time. That changes the perspective how you walk. It changes the perspective how you move. It changes the perspective how you see things. Okay? Puts everything all together, right? You see what you want to see, but you got to go beyond. See? All this time, and once you get in position lines ascending, don't look at me, look behind. Now, there's no behind, there's no beginning to anything, there's no end of anything, but it's a constant ongoing, which is a constant in positions of just keep existing and evolving your systems. So hopefully that puts everything all together. I just like to keep you guys updated on what's going on, because it's very powerful what we're seeing now. And just, relax, let yourself go, and try not to be so complicated with yourself. Just let yourself feel how you connect to everything around you. It formulates and helps you to guide yourself into some positions, knowing that all you're here is to understand is basically just to live the cycles already that you're existing in. But the evolving is what you want to come into. The new data, new intel, the new operations, new instructions, the new test. It keeps you in our lines of balance. It keeps you sharp in the mind. How you see that in all lane positions to its attraction. Because we're here to attract, not chase. Chasing is the opposite. Surrendering is the beginning, which is no beginning. Now, how you equalize that position locations is how you see that in formations to its system, through its formula. Knowing how to use that through its equations puts everything else perspective to its system, through its operation systems. So, that's my update. Stay tuned for more. This is Jeremiah. Over now. Bye.